As Jefferson County school and police officials will tell you, it's awfully easy for outsiders to look at the Columbine tragedy and conclude it didn't have to happen. But in our 6-month investigation, we spoke to a number of people, insiders, people with firsthand knowledge of the events leading up to Columbine, who told us the killings might have been prevented. A year before the attack, Joe Schalmoser and Howard Cornell were worried that Columbine was just the kind of place where a school shooting might happen. They were in charge of security for the school district that included Columbine. After the shootings in Paducah, Kentucky and Jonesboro, Arkansas, they were afraid that one of their schools might be next. Did you find any common elements in these?
Oh, yes. In fact, if you're in a white, suburban, middle-class, fairly large, complex school, you'd better have a plan for violence and threats of violence.
That's exactly what they had, a plan. In August of '98, a full 8 months before the attack on Columbine, Cornell and Schalmoser wrote a security plan that required school officials to notify and meet with parents and law enforcement officers as soon as they learned of a threat by any student to commit any act of violence. They say Columbine didn't follow the plan. And how did you propose that the schools identify students who might be a problem?
When a sophomore or even a freshman says, I'm going to kill somebody and I've got a gun at home to do it, or I'm going to blow the place up, it's time to trigger this procedure and take action.
In the event that the kid initiates some behavior that pops one of those red flags up, then we need to move.
About the time Cornell and Schalmoser presented their security plan to Columbine, 2 of the school's juniors, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, were coming to the attention of school and law enforcement authorities. At night, Harris and Klebold had been building an arsenal and making plans to use it, plans that Harris wrote about on the internet on his website. Our first true pipe bombs blew big, Harris writes. God, I can't wait till I can kill you people. I don't care if I live or die in the shootout. You all better hide in your houses because I'm coming for everyone soon, and I will be armed to the teeth, and I will shoot to kill, and I will kill everything. Brooks Brown was also a junior at Columbine in 1998. That March, he found his name on Harris's website. Harris was threatening to kill him.
When I first saw the web pages, I was utterly blown away. He's not saying like he's going to beat me up. He's saying he wants to blow me up, and he's talking about how he's making the pipe bombs to do it with.
He specifically states that he wants to kill Brooks, specifically states that they are making and detonating pipe bombs.
Did you see
Brooks' parents, Randy and Judy Brown, say they were horrified by the website and frightened of Harris, who lived nearby. They decided to take pages from the website to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, where an investigator told them that Harris already had a criminal file. He and Dylan Klebold were on a form of probation for breaking into a van and stealing equipment. So he knew that Eric Harris had broken into this van?
Yes. So he...
The same Eric Harris who made death threats against your son?
Absolutely, he knew that.
You went to them and said, here's a red flag.
Well, more than a red flag, here were 3 felonies that we had turned into them, making and detonating pipe bombs and threatening my son's life, and they didn't pursue it. They didn't do their job.
I was utterly dumbfounded that they did nothing with the web pages. Eric was saying how he was going to blow people up. Hey, I'm making pipe bombs. I've got the designs for them on my website. I'm going to kill these people. Here's why. That's a level beyond making a joke.
At first, the Sheriff's Department denied its investigators had even met with the Browns in person. But we obtained this police paperwork showing those investigators not only met with Mrs. Judy Brown, but then worked on a warrant to search Eric Harris's home. Even more surprising, this document shows a sheriff's deputy found a pipe bomb consistent with the devices Harris described on his website. But the Sheriff's Department never searched or even visited the Harris home. It was April of '98, a full year before the Columbine massacre.
People are covering up everything that went wrong, and I want these lessons out there. They're doing studies, they're getting profiles, everybody's trying to get programs going and what we can do. Well, guess what? All the signs were there. You know what the lessons are? Do your job.
After their meeting with the Browns, sheriff's deputies did warn administrators at Columbine that Eric Harris might be making pipe bombs. But according to a school district official, Sally Blanchard, the school had no reason to look into the matter further.
Deans were told that there was an investigation underway, that they weren't to do anything, that it was informational on their part only. So they actually took no action because certainly they wouldn't have wanted to interfere with an ongoing investigation.
This is too important to say, oh, well, you're going to handle it. We'll get on to something else. It's much too important.
But isn't it fair to say that if the police come to the school and say, hey, we're investigating this kid because the kid's making pipe bombs, this is an FYI so you know what's going on, that if I'm the school, I'm assuming that, okay, the cops are taking care of it?
No. You have to get the cop in there and say, what do you mean he's making pipe bombs? And where are they? And what is he doing with them?
If a sheriff's deputy told you that somebody at your school was messing around with pipe bombs, just common sense, wouldn't you want to know more about that?
I would have asked, first of all, if there was something that would lead me to believe that I needed to worry about our students in our school. There's not much else I could do other than have the information and be watching, being more vigilant about that student.
But if Columbine's administrators were being more vigilant about Eric Harris, they admit that didn't include speaking to his teachers, family, or friends about him. One of those friends, Nate Dykman, told us Harris and Klebold were showing off their weapons to people long before they attacked Columbine. One day, Eric showed you a pipe bomb at his home.
Yes.
What'd you say?
I was kind of taken back. Things were starting to get kind of out of hand. Making little fireworks is one thing, but when you make things that can like blow half your body apart, that's out of most normal people's league.
Dykman says Harris also kept what he called a hit list.
It was a little list of paper that he had kept in his wallet, just a list of names. He would update every day if somebody shoved them or somebody called him something, he would write their name down on it.
He was just a scary kid.
Devin Adams was a sophomore at Columbine in 1998 when she found her name on Harris's website on his hit list. In December of 98, you went to an assistant principal at the school and told her that you had been threatened by Eric Harris.
Yes.
What did you say to her?
I told her that Eric was intimidating, that he was threatening, that other students were feeling threatened by him. They did not feel safe in school around him, that it was not a safe environment when he was around.
And what did you want her to do? What did you think she would do?
I wanted her to call Eric in, maybe call his parents in, just talk to him. And I don't think it ever happened.
But that assistant principal denies Devin Adams ever spoke to her about Eric Harris.
I made an appointment. I sat down and I talked to her. I was serious, and she should have known that.
That was December. By then, Klebold and Harris had already bought a rifle, a semi-automatic pistol, and 2 sawed-off shotguns. Referring to a popular video game, Harris said in a tape he made before the shooting, "That shotgun is straight out of Doom. It's going to be like Doom."
In the video games that we all played, the sawed-off shotgun, that was their favorite weapon.
According to Nate Dykman, Harris and Klebold even made videotapes of themselves shooting their guns and played those tapes in school.
They were editing it in our video productions class.
What did you think that they were going to do with these guns?
They had told me that it was for target practice. I mean,
but you don't use a sawed-off shotgun for target practice.
Yeah, you don't. And that was odd, but Eric was an extreme person.
All of these things that people are pointing to now as red flags, the video in the classroom, the pipe bombs, the guns.
I figured if teachers are seeing this and numerous students are seeing all these signs, somebody else should be, worried about this. If nobody else is seeing anything wrong with this, why should I?
School officials say because of pending lawsuits, they cannot disclose whether any teachers saw videotapes of Harris and Klebold's guns.
What people saw in the school were that these two were going to classes every day. They had friends. They were turning in assignments. They were working towards higher grades in their classes. They were planning a future and going to the college or to the military.
And they're blowing up pipe bombs, they're shooting off shotguns, Are there other students doing that in your school?
I don't know.
Should you know? Would you want to know?
I would certainly want to know.
Should you have known then? Should someone have known?
Again, within what was happening.
But that's what's
If-
happening,
if-
Ms. Blanchard. I mean, does the school take any responsibility for failing to see how dangerous they might be?
There was no one in that school who had any indication that these two boys would become mass murderers.
In February of '99, Dylan Klebold turned in a story he wrote about an assassin in a black trench coat who shoots down students and bombs the city. The man unloaded one of the pistols across the fronts of the four innocents, Klebold wrote. The streetlights caused a visible reflection off of the droplets of blood. I understood his actions. Klebold's teacher later called it the most vicious story she'd ever read and voiced her concerns about it to Klebold's parents and his school counselor. But no school official ever looked into the matter, and it ended there. It was 2 months before the shootings. According to Howard Cornell, that story gave Columbine's administrators yet another opportunity to head off Klebold and Harris. And yet again, they missed it. In any of these instances, the essay that was written, the police investigating the pipe bombs, the girl who felt that she was threatened, in any of these instances, did Columbine follow the policies that you had laid out for the school district?
No, not one.
Why do you think Columbine didn't implement your recommendations?
I don't know the answer to that, Mr. Bradley.
We asked school district officials that question, and in a letter, they said Cornell and Schalmoser's plan applied only when a district employee becomes aware of a student who threatens to kill someone, a standard they say didn't apply to Harris or Klebold. But that's not what the plan says. Here's what it does say. The plan goes into effect when a student threatens to kill another student or commit any act of violence, and that standard did apply to Eric Harris. Where were Harris and Klebold's parents all this time? They have never spoken publicly about Columbine, but in police interviews, they said they had no idea about the arsenal of weapons their sons were amassing in their bedrooms, including knives, guns, cans full of gunpowder, coils of bomb fuse, and bombs, more than 100 of them, including pipe bombs, propane bombs, and homemade grenades. At night, while their parents were asleep, Harris and Klebold made videotapes in which they talked about all the weapons they had. Harris imagined his parents saying, "If only we had checked his room. If only we had asked more questions."